ISIAH Factor Uncensored starts now. Welcome and thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Tonight, families are still asking for justice. 15 years after a DUI crash left 3 teen girls dead and a suspect who has left the country to avoid prosecution. Investigators say 13-year-old Avianca Cortez, 13-year-old Detriana Davis, and 17-year-old Rashonda Riley were killed. The suspect, Sir John Timoshina, was charged with 3 counts of intoxication, manslaughter in the case. According to Crime Stoppers, he escaped prosecution by fleeing to his native Nepal. All of these years later, the pain for the families affected has not gone away. There are renewed calls for the U.S. government to work with Nepal to bring Timoshina back. Joining us to talk about it, Andy Khan of Crime Stoppers, Roxanne Alanis, who is Cortez's sister and advocate for the families of the victims, Lavoshay Hendry. Glad to have you all here on The Factor Uncensored. First of all, tell us about the loss of your sister in this tragedy.
It's been tough for our families. It's more so trying to cope, holidays, birthdays, just having to live life without someone that you're used to living life with. So it hasn't been easy, but it's just learning to cope with them not being physically there anymore.
And tell us a little bit about your sister, the happy times, what you remember.
Me and my sister, we're really close, really close. From doing our hair together, makeup. Before she passed, I dyed her hair. We were just really close. That was almost like my sister, but my daughter. I seen her born from the time till she wasn't here anymore. I did her hair and her makeup. I got her dressed for her service. So it was really hard.
And Lavoshay, you are here for support for this family. You're their advocate.
So, Roxanne's been a member of No More Victims since 2011.
And for those who are not familiar with No More Victims, really quick, tell us what that's about.
No More Victims is an advocacy agency for children of newborns and incarcerated parents. We've been in existence for over 25 years. We have a Lifetime movie out, CNN stories, Grammy nominated. So we've been around. We're in the community.
You've been on The Factor before.
We've been on The Factor before. And Roxanne joined our family in 2011. So Avianca, she's a part of us. And so this year marked the 15-year anniversary of their death. And when Roxanne reached out and was like, hey, I need this guy. And I'm like, well, he's in jail. And when she said, no, he's not, we hit the ground running. And of course, when things are too big for my little hands, I called the big guy. And so we called Andy, sent him the case files, told him everything that we had going on, and asked him could he look into it. And I don't believe in luck, but fortunately, the district attorney that we have now, Sean Tier, was the ADA that personally worked this case the night that this incident happened. So when Andy brought it back to him, he was like, I remember this case. I still have these files. Like, okay, what do we need to do? So from press conferences to press releases to petitions to get him back, it's just really a matter of getting the Nepalese government to understand that this guy has not only committed crimes since being in Nepal, he's committed crimes here, and you should bring him back here to see justice. He's been living 15 years, and these girls didn't even see 15 years old.
Wow. And Andy, first of all, refresh our memories, or for those who never heard of this incident 15 years ago, tell us what happened.
I never heard of it until Shay brought it to my attention. I was absolutely floored that nothing's been done on this for 15 years. It's been dormant. So you had a situation, you had 3 teenage girls that ended up being killed, allegedly, of course, by Timoshina, and the next day, he's gone. He's in Nepal. That's where
so was there bond or anything?
No, he was never taken into custody. That's a whole other story, okay? He was not taken into custody, and the next day, he's back in his native country of Nepal. The reality, Isiah, is he has been a fugitive from justice longer than these 3 girls lived on Earth. That's telling. So we just said we're going to put it back on the map. We're going to see what happens, and we're going to put a lot of pressure on our elected officials. I'm going to go all the way to the White House if I can.
Okay, we're going to stop you right there. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more Factor in just a moment. Stay with us. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We continue our conversation about families seeking justice for teens killed after a DUI crash. Our guests are back. Andy, you were talking about reaching out to the governor, trying to get help to bring this individual back from Nepal 15 years ago. Continue.
Yeah, I mean, after we did the press conference and basically put him back on the map, I had calls from the senators, both Texas senators, and then the governor's office called, and they wanted all the information about this case. So this is where it needs to go, Isiah. It needs to go to the State Department, and that's where I'm looking to take the next step and ask the country of Nepal to do the right thing and simply send him back to face trial for the murder of these 3 girls. That's all we're asking.
And are they willing to cooperate? Is that a country known for cooperating with the United States?
That's why we're in this position. It's a non-extradition country. Mm-hmm. So far, they've refused to turn them over. But I'm thinking maybe with this administration, maybe things will be a little bit different. So we're at a point right now, we have absolutely nothing to lose, and we're hoping for the best.
And essentially, let's not remember, we started this campaign called Hope for 4, because even though 3 girls died on the scene of that accident, there's also a 4th victim, the young lady who survived. Mm-hmm. She killed herself due to survivor's guilt, due to this situation. And so, yes, we've charged him with intoxication and manslaughter for the death of these 3 girls, but we will not forget her as well, because as a result of what he did, and the justice not being gotten the way that it should have been done. He was able to flee, and she eventually took her own life, and it's just domino effects of trauma, because after she lost her life, her father then also died due to alcoholism, due to him not being able to tolerate the pressure of his daughter's death. So it's just been a domino effect. And again, like I said, it would be different if he went to Nepal and sat down and was being quiet. He has not. Since being in Nepal, he has gotten in trouble. Since being in Nepal, he's been arrested. Since being in Nepal, he's been just as much as a nuisance there as he's been here. So why will the Nepalese government not give him here?
And Roxanne, do you feel like there's any hope now that the governor and senators are getting involved with this case?
I feel like there is. I feel like there is hope.
Will you have the ability to feel like justice once he is at least in the United States?
Yes. Yes. Once he's here in the United States and facing trial, we'll have some type of peace and closure. It won't bring them back, but it'll definitely give the family closure.
And Andy, what can, if anything, the public should do? Or
Just a couple things, Isaiah. Number one, we have a petition that we'll share that people can sign requesting that the United States government get involved and make the proper request to the Nepal government. And basically, we're going to do everything we can to get Nepal to stand up to the plate, do the right thing, and turn them over. So what we're asking the public to do is let your elected officials know. You know, they have a voice, they have some power, and that's what it's going to take. Because for 15 years, nobody even talked about this. Now you're back on the map. So I have a direct message to Taimul Sheena. Be a man, stand up, turn yourself in.
And have you all been able to track him? Because you, says he's had other instances of criminal arrest there.
So,
how have you been able to track him?
In full transparency, we know exactly where he is, even right now at this very moment. Like, we know where he is, we know where he's located, but again, because we do not have any type of, and Nepal has not been communicating with us, not for a lack of us trying, just because they've been non-responsive. So we can tell you like where he is, what he's doing, what's happening in his life, like literally to this very second. But even with us doing that, like Nepal to India is like the Woodlands to Houston. As close as they are, they're very much so far apart when we're talking about legalities.
But it's been a while since we actually extended diplomatic hand to talk about this. So I'm hoping, since the years have gone by, maybe Nepal will actually relate and send them back.
All right. We want to thank you guys for sharing your story here on The Factor Uncensored, and wish you and your family the very best. And you keep pushing on.
Thank
no
you.
more victims. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Andy. Still ahead tonight, the latest on the Epstein scandal. 6 powerful men are being tied to the now deceased man at the center of the storm. Plus, we want to remind you that you can watch us anytime on the Factor YouTube page. If you haven't already subscribed, scan the QR code right there on your screen to go right to our channel. We'll be right back.
This program is being brought to you by Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. The Justice Department has unredacted more names in the Epstein files after growing pressure from lawmakers who review the records. Our next guest has more details on the new developments out there. Joining us now is Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld. Dr. von Biedenfeld, when we take a look at what one U.S. congressman said, he described this as a worldwide sex trafficking ring with people from other countries sourcing young children for Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators' names, and it involved men and women. And of course, some of those names that were redacted, we're talking about possibly 6 powerful men have now been identified on the floor of Congress, in Congress, to protect members of Congress from saying their name in a lawsuit. But your thoughts about what we're seeing more identities, and we're talking about powerful people from around the world who have been implicated or accused of being a part of this worldwide sex trafficking ring that involve underage girls.
Absolutely. And there's an old adage, birds of a feather flock together. And the question is, have individuals been manipulated, creating national security concerns? We've seen several high-profile resignations across Europe because the question is, what was compromised? We know that strict liability prohibits engagement of this activity with minors, regardless of whether you knew their age or not. And so individuals could be subject to criminal liability, human trafficking, outside of statutes of limitation that really suggest that members of Congress, the former owners of or managing directors of Victoria's Secret and other high-profile companies, individuals, former presidents, these individuals all have connections and access to information that if they were tied to this sex trafficking ring, it's very likely that they were compromised. And did they reveal things in the moments of passion? Were they extorted or otherwise manipulated into providing information? All of these things present grave questions of national security and public scrutiny that I think this representative is appropriately questioning.
How ugly will this get, and how ugly was this whole trafficking ring when we take a look at it for the average person who hadn't followed this much? Just how bad did it get? What are we hearing when it comes to allegations? And of course, what's been proven with Jeffrey Epstein, who took his own life. And of course, you know, he was convicted and serving time when he, according to investigators, took his own life. There are people who question that.
Absolutely. And to your point, it's according to investigators. I wasn't there. You weren't there. We don't know how these things happen. And when we think about individuals who are highly powerful, who can maneuver the Bureau of Prisons officials or other federally authorized officials to cut off security cameras or otherwise maneuver certain individuals into spaces that are otherwise intended to be secured, we won't know for quite a while, probably until some of the individuals named in that list are deceased, and then those individuals who are protecting them and their names and identities are either lacking that sort of concern about repercussions or retaliation. We won't know the full extent of this. It's very damaging. The victims, of course, we've seen one major accuser die. And of course, we have lots of allegations and even concerns publicly stated that individuals such as Ghislaine Maxwell, that she will die if she testifies.
Now, when we talk about this, we've heard, you know, a lot of people have these conspiracy theories about the wealthy engaging in sex with underage. Well, this is making it reality. You know, it's not a conspiracy theory anymore when you hear some of these allegations and, you know, you see some of these very powerful people on this list that members of Congress have called out.
Well, it really damages the public trust because we've seen where national security officials were spying on ex-girlfriends, tapping their phones, looking in security footage, using satellites to spy on individuals engaged in activities. And so when we think about that at low levels of analysts and other sort of surveillance personnel at the National Security Agency, then we have to think how much more so for former presidents, for billionaire executives of major technology companies. How much of this intertwined sort of relationship is going to come into play as far as their shared manipulation, an agreed upon covenant to keep these things secret, and of course, how damaging, how many of these women and victims have not come forward because of fear of reprisal.
And of course, now the public, our eyes are wide open. Let's see what happens next. Dr.
Absolutely.
Dietrich von Bietenfeld, thank you for joining us here on the Factor Uncensored. Don't go anywhere. Still ahead tonight, an all-new Money is the Motive with a tech twist. Should we be using AI to help us file the paperwork for taxes? That's next, coming your way. Welcome back, all tax season long. Here on The Factor Uncensored, we're breaking it all down with practical, must-know tips in our tax edition of Money is the Motive. Tonight, we're taking a closer look at how technology and AI is changing the tax filing process. More and more Americans are using AI to help with daily tasks at home and at work. But when it comes to filing your tax returns, some experts are urging caution. Joining us to talk about it and to break it all down, CPA Adrena G. Cooper. Glad to have you here on The Factor. I never heard of using of course, AI is new.
Absolutely.
But are people trying it? Are they putting their luck on the line?
You would be surprised what people are actually doing when it comes to AI, especially when it comes to their personally identifiable information, plugging it into AI and hoping for the best. But like you mentioned, caution is very important when you're dealing with AI.
And so what are they trying to do? Increase their tax refund or decrease their liability? What?
I mean, it could be either. They're trying to increase their refund and decrease their liability, but at the end of the day, AI itself isn't really up to date with all of the tax law changes, so that can lead to opening up risk for IRS audit, or just AI also has a lot of hallucinations with AI, so there's a potential that you're getting information out that it's not up to date with the most recent tax law.
And of course, AI, as you said, they only know as much as the public gives it. Otherwise, they're not up to date.
Absolutely.
And for those who are, have you seen anyone do their taxes on AI and then bring it to you and like, okay, put your stamp of approval on there?
Personally, I have not, but I do have tax preparer friends who are running into this, where we have people simulating what their returns should be and then saying, hey, I did this with another tax preparer. But as a CPA myself, I really caution doing that, because again, all of the information AI is what people tell it, and especially I see a lot of people using the free version of AI, which again, there's a lot of room for error in there.
Now let's talk about the trouble you can get yourself in. Obviously, some people get letters and they blow it off, but the tax man could come knocking at your door. What kind of trouble are we talking about here?
Some serious trouble, especially if you are misrepresenting your income, understating your income, and maybe even commingling funds, especially businesses are using AI now to sort of increase their tax refund. So there's a lot of potential for some serious IRS audit, and so exercising caution is very important.
What would be your idea for best practices out there for those who are preparing their taxes now? Just come to you and call it a day, or what? Maybe use a tax service that's tried and true?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of tax service out there that actually incorporates AI in a manner that is appropriate. So I think using AI as a way to sort of get your footing is okay, but then you have to take that information to a tax preparer or a CPA to really fact check a lot of the information in there. And there's softwares like TurboTax or H&R Block that has the AI built in, but then you have someone like a professional who is going through and doing the final check for compliance before it finally gets filed and submitted.
All right. We want to thank you for joining us and that valuable tax advice. I mean, AI, people will do anything to make a buck.
I mean.
We want to thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. And of course, remember to follow us on social media, where you can catch us on many platforms. And don't forget to check out our new YouTube page at ISIAH Factor Uncensored, where you can catch many of the ISIAH Factor segments that you've missed, and you can even catch Ms. Cooper with the AI. Just don't go to jail, right? Let's pray. Don't. Let's pray on it. That'll do it for us. Have a good night.
Welcome to the Nightcap. It's your girl, Carolina Sanchez. And baby, if you haven't gone to your Valentine's Day shopping, it is time. So I've got the perfect gift guide for you for the typical things you get. You know, the jewelry, the chocolates, the lingerie, maybe some toys, and a little spicy treat. But it's a little bit more of an elevated version. And I'll show you some of these later. But we gotta hit the streets for that. So, let's go.
Yeah, what's up for a nightcap? Chill, you know, kick back.
Look at that. And that, oh my God, it all sparkles so beautifully. Oh, that would look so good on my finger. Jewelry, we know, Valentine's Day, baby. Ladies, they want jewelry. So of course we had to come to one of my favorite places, Chef Tell Diamond, to see what they have for those looking. Okay, and here I am with the man, Danny Shaftel. Thanks for inviting us over yet again.
Anytime, anytime.
All right, Valentine's Day, obviously a busy time for you.
Yep.
What do people normally come in for?
So Valentine's Day, the interesting thing about Valentine's Day is a lot of people propose, right, on Valentine's Day. And also, it's kind of beginning of springtime, so there are a lot of anniversaries.